Hello, welcome to Tim Anderson Horse Training. Today I want to talk to you about rein management. I see a lot of people that come to ride and come to me for lessons that have these short barrel racing reins on, and that's okay for barrel racing, but if you're training your horse, especially if you're doing flexing exercises and working the face and working on spins and stuff like that, you really need to be riding in split reins. And the reason a lot of people don't ride in split reins because they just don't know what to do with all this slack, what to do with it all. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today is rein management, what to do with all these reins, and give you some suggestions how to manage your rein. And that's going to let you do a better job of communicating with your horse. So there's several things that you can do with your reins. I'm going to go ahead and walk around. I'll walk a few circles right here. Then we're going to talk about the reins a little bit. I have a shank bit on him, a leverage bit. But it really wouldn't matter if I had a leverage bit or a snaffle bit. None of this really changes. A lot of people will say that a leverage bit is a one-handed bit that you would ride one-handed. And a snaffle bit is a two-handed bit that you'd ride two-handed. And that is generally correct. That's how you would show. If I had a shank bit on a horse and I was going to show, I would be showing one-handed. And if I had a snaffle bit on a horse, I would be going in and showing two-handed. But when you're training your horse, you're going to be doing a lot of going back and forth. A lot of schooling him two-handed, get his body set where you want it to be, and then you're going to give him some slack and you're going to go to two-handed. You see I keep kind of flinging my reins back and forth. Then you'd go one-handed and see what you got. So we're going to talk a little bit about managing these reins. If you are riding with a snaffle bit and your horse is pretty green, you're pretty much going to stay two-handed for the most part, but it's not going to be very long. You're going to need to be starting on building some neck rein. Your goal eventually is going to be able to ride your horse one-handed. Teach the horse the neck rein and ride one-handed. So even if you're in a snaffle bit and you're doing a lot of two-handed contact, you need to be working towards transitioning to being able to ride one-handed and steering your horse around one-handed. But what do you do with all this rein? If I'm primarily riding two-handed in a snaffle bit, I'm generally going to have my reins crossed. But once I start transitioning and I'm getting to where I'm wanting to work that horse more one-handed, I'll take my reins and I'll put them just as if I was going to be showing one-handed. And then I'm going to take and run this hand down and run this hand down, and then I can get two rein contact. So even if you are in a snaffle bit, and I usually change when my horse is probably about 60, 90 days under saddle, I'll swap from crossing my reins to riding with my reins like this, two-handed. That way, once I get what I want on my horse, I can drop my reins and go back one-handed. If he loses his frame, I can pick back up two-handed. I'll work a lot like that. I'll practice like that. If I need to shorten these reins up, I can shorten them up, and then I can end up back here with a shorter rein. Can lengthen them up. What I'm doing is I'm just taking my hand and sliding it down, and then separating the reins again. Two-handed, and all I have to do is drop my reins and then I'm back one-handed again. If I'm working this horse to work poles, when I go to walk over these poles, I want to be able to give him enough slack so that he can put his head down and look at those poles. The judges are going to want to see that. They want the horse to look at them poles, so I might approach these poles two-handed, give him some slack. That's how I'm going to want my end product to be, and then I can gather my reins back up. What I usually do is I'll take and put one finger in between this loop, and I will, let me get where you can see a little closer. I will take one finger and I'll loop it, and I'll hold the tail of the reins right here. And that's how I can drop. And the other part of that is, if I don't have that and I go to drop my reins, I don't want to drop that rein since it's on that side. So what I will do is I'll take and I'll grab that rein with one finger, and then that's how I can keep from dropping that rein. That'll keep me safe. See, when you're teaching a horse to do something, you need to get his body where you want it to get the frame that you want. If I'm working circles, I'm going to want to get his body bent like I want it. And then I'm going to need to be able to go back one-handed and still work my circle off my neck rein. If I need to tip his nose to the inside, just go back two-handed again. So it's really important, if you're working on training your horse, get used to riding one-handed, transitioning to two, and then transitioning back to one again. That's going to help you a lot with your communication with your horse. It's going to make your horse happier than if you are in his mouth with a short set of barrel reins. And if you're riding with your reins crossed like this, it's okay when you're starting out, but you really don't have any good way to go to one-handed. This really isn't considered one-handed. You have all your fingers between the reins. If you're going to show one-handed, you're only allowed one finger between your reins. So this is what you need to be working towards with your reins. And then learning to swap back and forth. So that's a little bit on rein management and how to handle your reins so that you have better communication with the horse. If you want to see more on reins and legs and communicating with your horse, I'll put a link to a video up here. Until next time, thank you for watching.